Namaste, angels. This will be a reading special dedicated to the Prophet Muhammad and to King Osiris, and the day on which, back in 2016, I was told by King Osiris himself to recognize or celebrate his birthday, which is November 19th. That is also the day on which we will be celebrating the Prophet Muhammad's birthday. There is talk, record, not official, some places, that the Prophet Muhammad's birthday is April 22nd, the year 571, which is an interesting date. I like the 4-4, and the April 22nd. And I like the 571 equals 13 or 4, 11, 11. I even like the Aries, because I do feel similar to how I feel that Horus, Jesus, Isa, all the vibrations of that is a Virgo. And I've said possibly a Leo Virgo, like a Cuspian. I have felt that Osiris has some Aries. And it's interesting. I hope to go over in a way that I make more sense in a moment. Interesting that historically, the planet Mars rules both Aries and Scorpio. But as does the planet Pluto rule both Scorpio and Aries. So I do believe that Osiris is both. And I do believe that there's a reason, although it would seem nobody here knows it, that at one point in history, somebody was guided to record Muhammad's birthday as having been in April. And then the rest of history was guided to say, we don't know on what day he was born. And for the Muslim community, if you go online to like official government websites, the United Arab Emirates or whatever, they're celebrating it on November 19th. Next year, they're going to celebrate it on the 9th. They're going to move it due to something with the moon, a moon sighting based on when the moon is scheduled to appear, which is very important throughout many of the religions, right? Not just Islam. So don't even know where to start, because I want this to be, I want it to be good. I mean, it's dedicated to and in honor of King Osiris and the Prophet Muhammad. So I want to make sure that I get out what they would have me say. I think I'll begin with Wikipedia.org, Muhammad. And let's see if they go over any of the things that I already said. So Muhammad, it says here, was born in the year 570. They don't know the date, according to this. And this is not the only place where it says that. As a matter of fact, most places you look up will say, we have no idea on what day Muhammad was born. But then again, like I mentioned before, in some places it is recorded that he was born April 22nd. In any case, here it says that he was born in the year 570, as opposed to 571. They don't know the date. And that he lived through June 8th in the year 632. And that he was the founder of Islam. According to Islamic doctrine, he was a prophet and God's messenger, sent to present and to confirm monotheistic teachings, and preached previously by Adam, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and other prophets. He is viewed as the final prophet of God in all the main branches of Islam, though some modern denominations diverge from this belief. Now, what they mean by the final prophet is because they do, in Islam, count the Christian Judeo prophets as legitimate prophets too. And they even share the same major and minor prophets. They just don't accept Jesus as the Messiah. Similar to in the Judaism, they don't accept Jesus as being the Messiah. They're still waiting. But they recognize the prophets. They respect the prophets. They teach about the prophets. They don't worship them the way Christians worship Jesus necessarily, but they honor them and they respect them. So unlike perhaps is done in Christianity as it relates to the other religions. You know, we don't, in Christianity, you don't necessarily respect the other religions' prophets. You just don't recognize them. That's just the truth. In any case, here they did. And of all the prophets, so including the Christian Judeo ones, in the belief of Islam, Muhammad is the final one. He's the last. I personally would disagree with that. Those of you who've been watching me for some time, you know, since I started 2016, may very well know that on this, not this table, at a different table, but on this exact screen in this exact room, I once recorded myself calculating, based on the book of Daniel, who I felt was the most recent prophet of this time and what year he was killed and how it related to the scriptures and the book of Daniel and even the two witnesses and all that stuff. And that is Malcolm X, according to me. That's the most recent prophet. Muhammad was not the final one, but I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. I was just given this gift and awareness of theology as it relates to Islam and Christian beliefs and Jewish beliefs. And so it's my part of my life purpose, at least, if not my entire life purpose, to teach that, or, you know, and to explain how we all fit together and how we can move toward oneness and monotheism, just as Muhammad preached and just as Jesus preached. Muhammad united Arabia into a single Muslim establishment, with the Quran, as well as his teachings and practices, forming the basis of the Islamic religious belief. Born in approximately the year 570 CE, the year of the elephant, in the Arabian city of Mecca, Muhammad was orphaned at 6 years old. He was raised under the care of his paternal uncle, Abu Talib, and Abu Talib's wife, Fatima bint Asad. Periodically, he would seclude himself in the mountain cave named Hira. That's sort of like Hera, right? Or maybe even Heru, if we dare to go that far. He was secluded there for several nights of prayer, not unlike Jesus. Later, at age 40, so you know how some of you may know how prolific the number 40 is throughout the scriptures, not just the Christian ones, not just the Jewish ones, the Islamic ones as well. At age 40, he reported being visited by Gabriel. That's the angel Gabriel, although he wouldn't have called him Gabriel. He would have called him Jibril. Or that's how they refer to him in the Quran. Jibril, not Gabriel. But that's who it is. Same angel, same beliefs. He visited him in the cave. And that is where he stated he received his first revelation from God. 3 years later, in the year 610, so I've talked about this before, that in the teachings that I've received, on 610, June 10th, and I think I went over this year because we were recognizing and celebrating at the time Ramadan. So it was like 10 days after Ramadan. Is when we were celebrating. No, not 10 days after Ramadan. 10 days after, oh goodness. I can't think of the date that initiated the Ramadan. Anyway, I did go over this in June when it occurred. And it's like stuck, when something's stuck like right there in the edge of your mouth or head and you can't get it out. That's what's happening to me right now. But on June 10th, in the year 610, so 610 is when he started preaching the revelations, the way that I was taught. Here they're just mentioning the year 610. And it says, yes, Muhammad started preaching these revelations publicly and proclaiming that God is one. And that's the complete submission. That's what he said. God is one. They have it in quotes. and that this is the right course of action to follow in this belief, and that he was a prophet and a messenger of God, similar to other prophets of Islam and, of the other religions as well. Muhammad gained few early followers and experienced hostility from Meccan polytheists, right? People who believed in a whole bunch of gods. To escape ongoing persecution, he sent some followers to Abyssinia in the year 615 or 66. Before he and his followers migrated from Mecca to Medina, which was then known as Yathrib, later in 622. Now, yes, that's the holiday it's not really a holiday, but a day that is recognized that I was trying to think of and get out of my mouth. The reason he went to Medina is because his grandson was killed. And so that started a pilgrimage to Medina. And that's what was being recognized 10 days after Ramadan. And then, anyway, never mind. I still don't remember it to talk about it properly. Let me go on, because I don't want to mess this reading up. This event, the Hijra, marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar, also known as the Hijri calendar in Medina. Muhammad united the tribes under the Constitution of Medina, and in December of 629, after 8 years of intermittent wars with the Meccan tribes, Muhammad gathered an army of 10,000 Muslim converts and marched on the city of Mecca. The conquest went largely uncontested, and Muhammad seized the city with little bloodshed. In 632, a few months after returning from the farewell pilgrimage, he fell ill and died. By his death, most of the Arabian Peninsula had converted to Islam. The revelations, each known as ayah, or signs of God, which Muhammad reported receiving until his death, from the verses of the Quran, regarded by Muslims as the verbatim, quote-unquote, word of God, and around which the religion is based. Besides the Quran, Muhammad's teaching and practices, or sunnah, are found in the hadith and the seerah, biography, or literature, and are also upheld and used as sources of Islamic law. See Sharia. Wanted to talk about Gabriel for a second, because some people don't even realize and understand that Muslims believe in angels. Like, they're so shocked when they hear that. Like, oh, that's in the Quran too? It's I promise you, it's very much the same. The teachings of the Quran, the Bible, and the Torah, except for the Bible is heavily manipulated. At this point, there's over 100 versions of the Bible. And, unfortunately, you have to take that into consideration when you're reading it and trying to follow it as guidance for your life. In any case, Gabriel. So he's probably the most important angel in Islam is Gabriel. And, you might think, oh, you mean more important than Michael? Well, no, because again, Michael is the only angel who is referred to not only as an archangel, but he is the archangel. So that sort of sets him apart of the other angels. Gabriel, I'm saying, is probably the most important of the angels, period, that are mentioned. And he's mentioned a couple times in the Quran. But the reason that I'm saying this is because in one particular part, there's a line, whoever is an enemy to Allah and his angels and apostles, and then they specify to Jibril and to Mikhail, Allah is an enemy to those who reject, his faith in those beings. And so he is specifically mentioned. And then there's another part of the Quran where they're talking about the Holy Spirit, or Ra, which is very much like Ra, isn't it? Maybe I'll get a chance to get into that. Ra, R-U-H, is to how the Holy Spirit is referred in the Quran. And a lot of Islamic scholars, teachers, will tell you that that's Gabriel. The Holy Spirit is what they're talking about. And there's a line in connection to that. Truly, this revelation is from the Lord of the worlds, which the trustworthy spirit Jibril has brought down to your heart in order that you may be from the warners in plain Arabic language. You know, so he's mentioned by name there. And again, where it says, say the Holy Spirit, Jibril has brought the revelations from your Lord in truth in order to strengthen those who believe and as a guide and glad tidings to Muslims. So to me, that's not so crazy because, you know, the messenger comes in many vibrations as, you know, do all the other beings, you know, they get higher. And Gabriel is just, for me, well, not just, I don't want to minimize him, you know, but the messenger is also Hermes. The messenger is also Mercury. The messenger is also Thought, no? You know, so, but I do think it's interesting that he's referred to as almost Ra here. And again, that where Muhammad went to pray sounds very much like Hera or Heru. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about Aries and Scorpio, because again, I think that they're both connected. So this is, I'm just going to wikipedia.org. This is not off the top of my head where I got to try to remember stuff. This I'm going to read. It is Aries, meaning the ram, the first astrological sign in the zodiac, spanning the first 30 degrees of the celestial longitude. Under the tropical zodiac, the sun transits this sign from approximately March 20th to April 21st each year. This time duration is exactly the first month or solar Hijri calendar. And I didn't even explain why I want to talk about Aries. I mentioned the part about Mars, but April 22nd does not fall into Aries, as you just heard, right? Aries ends on the 21st. The 22nd, at best, would be an Aries, Taurus, Cuspian, right? But I think that might be part of it too. That Taurus is also connected, I think, clearly to Isis. You know, she's covered in oxen-related stuff. And right to the horns that she wears on her head. They're ox horns. So like a bull. But also to Osiris and certainly to Thoth. I mean, he is believed to be the father of the Pleiades. Those are supposed to be his daughters, which is part of this constellation of Taurus. I want to try to talk where I'm making sense, though, where I'm talking about, you know, where I'm going in a straight line. So let me get back to this. The symbol of the ram is used, and it's based on Crystal Malus, the flying ram that provided the golden fleece. According to the tropical system of astrology, the sun enters the sign of Aries when it reaches the March equinox. So that's the 21st, which time systems and the Western calendar are rooted in, so as to occur on an average of March 21st. Because the Earth takes approximately 365.25 days to go around the sun, the precise time of the equinox is not the same each year, and generally will occur about 6 hours later from one year to the next. February 29th of a leap year causes that year's vernal equinox to fall about 18 hours earlier compared with the previous year. Since 1900, so here come the 19s, the vernal equinox date has ranged from March 20th at the 8th hour to March 21st at the 19th hour. March 19th, which is also connected to Father, because that is the feast day of St. Joseph, at 2320 will occur in the year 2044. I'm not sure why that's important, but I like the numbers. In contrast, under the sidereal zodiac, the sun currently transits Aries from April 15th to May 14th, approximately. So under that zodiac sign, then April 22nd would be under the sign of Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, the other fire signs being Leo and Sagittarius. Individuals born between these dates, depending on which system of astrology they subscribe to, may be called Arians or Arians. And the equivalent in the Hindu solar calendar is Mesa. Sign rulers: Mars, Pluto. Detriment: Venus. Exaltation: Sun, fall, Saturn. That's Aries. Let's look at Scorpio. Also from Wikipedia.org. Let's see what they say. Scorpio is the 8th astrological sign in the zodiac, originating from the constellation of Scorpius. It spans 210 degrees through 240 degrees elliptic longitude. Under the tropical zodiac, which is most commonly used in the Western astrology, the sun transits this area on average from October 23rd through November 22nd. Under the sidereal zodiac, most commonly used in Hindu astrology, the sun is in Scorpio from approximately November 16th through December 15th. So he would still be a Scorpio, considering the 19th. And that is depending upon which zodiac system one uses. An individual born under the influence of Scorpio may be called a Scorpio or a Scorpion. And the same thing. Rulers: Pluto, tropical astrology. In sidereal astrology, Mars and Ketu are the rulers. Detriment: Venus. So it's like the same sort of thing. Now the number 19. And for this, I just Googled the number 19 and something interesting came up. It is www.biblestudy.org. Appearances of the number 19. Discovered in 1947, the Dead Sea Scrolls were found east of Jerusalem. Among all scrolls unearthed over the years, 19 copies of Isaiah the prophet have been identified. Of the 10 most frequently mentioned women in the Bible, Mary, Jesus's mother, is listed 19 times. My life path is 19 also. Nahor, the father of Terah, lived 119 years after he begot Abraham's father. And this can be found in Genesis 11:25. He lived to the ripe old age of 148, which equals 1304, 1111. The number 19 itself only appears 3 times in the Bible, and that is Genesis 11:25, Joshua 19:38, which in itself is 11:19 transposed, and 2 Samuel 2:30. The Israelite tribe of Naphtali received 19 cities with their villages as part of their inheritance in the promised land. That's found in Joshua 19:38. Again, that's 11:19 backwards. Their gift of land from God was in the northern part of what will become Israel. It encompassed the entire western section of the Sea of Galilee. Isaiah prophesied that the land of Naphtali and Zebulun would someday see a shining beacon in their lands. And this is Isaiah 9:1-2. This prophecy, which only the book of Matthew records as being fulfilled, came true during the life of Jesus. Matthew states, quote, "The people who were sitting in darkness have seen a great light, and to those who were sitting in the realm and shadow of death, light has sprung up." Matthew 4:16. The fulfillment of this prophecy related to 19 occurred when Christ, who had lived in Nazareth all his life, moved at the age of 30 to the Galilean Sea of Capernaum. Once in the city, he started his ministry and began to preach the gospel. And this is found Matthew 4:14-17. The Hebrew calendar is the biblical method for determining when God's 7 annual feast days should be kept. It was the calendar that Jesus, the apostles, and the early church considered authoritative, concerning when to keep such celebrations as Passover, Pentecost, and the Feast of Trumpets. This method of tracking time is based on a repeating 19-year time cycle. The Hebrew civil calendar adds an additional month, making 13 months total. In years 3, 6, 8, 11, 14, 17, and 19 of each cycle. Such leap periods are necessary in order to help the lunar and solar years stay in sync. Postponement rules are also used to declare the first day of each civil year. Psalm number 19, written by King David, declares that the heavens and everything else humans see is a living testament to the existence, glory, and power of God. The Apostle Paul reiterates this fact in verse 19 of Romans 1, where he writes, quote, "Because that which may be known of God is manifest among them, for God has manifested to them," end quote. And that was the number 19. I hope you saw the 19s and 13s. Like, I couldn't have made this stuff up. When I got on here 2 years ago, going on 3 years ago, I guess this March, as of March of the year 2019, 11/19, it will be 3 years that I've been doing this. When I got on here and started telling you that 19 was the number of God, of the Father, and 13 was of the Mother, and 13 is from where the 11:11 came from, I'm sure a bunch of y'all thought I was crazy. Now you believe it. Now you understand it. Now you're starting to follow it. But nobody was talking about that but me at that time. Nobody. You can look it up. You can try to find someone. Somebody can try to challenge me on it. Nobody was. I promise you. What else happened on... Oh, I wanted to mention where the moon is going to be, because it also covers that period of Aries through Gemini. I wanted this reading to go from the 18th through the 22nd. And the reason for that is because on some calendars, the 22nd is the last day of Scorpio. On some calendars, again, it's the first day of Sagittarius. So depending upon where you're looking. But in either case, it's the day before the Gemini full moon this year. And it covers, in the meantime, moons beginning November 18th at 3:55 p.m., which is 13/04, 11/11. The moon enters Aries. On November 20th, the moon enters Taurus. And then on the 23rd, like I said, it enters Gemini, the full moon in Gemini. 0 degrees Gemini, no less. So I think this is like encompassing all of his elements. That's the Scorpio, the Aries, and the Taurus all wrapped up. Or the water, fire, and earth all together. And then the air comes in with the Gemini. All right, so what else happened on this day in history? I'll just go over some of those kind of things quickly. In the year 1530, according to onthisday.com, the recess document resulting from the Diet of Augsburg is signed by Charles V and Catholic princes. 1530 equals 9. 9 may be important on this day. The year 1620, which is also 9, the Mayflower reaches Cape Cod and explores the coast. 1805, Lewis and Clark expedition reaches the Pacific Ocean. It's the first European Americans to cross into the West. 1863, or 9/9, U.S. President Abraham Lincoln delivers his Gettysburg Address beginning 77 years ago. That's 11. 1942, Operation Uranus. The Soviet offensive begins during Battle of Stalingrad, and 1 million Soviet soldiers encircle the German 6th Army. 1969, Apollo's 12, Charles Conrad and Alan Bean become the 3rd and 4th humans on the moon. And 1985, U.S. President Ronald Reagan and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev, that's my second time saying that name today. I was talking about the Archangel before. They meet for the first time on this day in history. Also, American inventor Frederick E. Blaisdell patents the pencil on this day in the year 1895. Other people who were famous who celebrate birthdays are Charles I, James Garfield, Hiram Bingham, Indira Gandhi, Roy Campanella, and Jodie Foster. Also, septuplets by the name of McCaughey, that's their last name, born to Bobby McCaughey in Des Moines, Iowa, are the first set of septuplets at 7, which represents God, the first set of septuplets to survive infancy. They were born, or this was recorded, on November 19th in 1997. Yes, they were born. Famous deaths on this day: Franz Schubert, Emma Lazarus, and Charles Manson got taken out on this day. Trying to remember if there was anything else I wanted to mention. I didn't talk about Osiris. I wasn't really moved to. Maybe he feels I've done enough videos on him. He wanted me to talk about Muhammad this year, because this was the first time I'd ever done that. And to draw the parallels between the two of them, I hope that I accomplished that. So I'm going to begin the reading portion, beginning with the King of Water, King of Cups. And opening to the Sun in reverse. King of Cups. And the Three of Pentacles in reverse. King of Cups upright. King of Cups, which is appropriate, by the way, of course, you know, when we're talking about the Scorpion King. Four of Pentacles also in reverse. Four of Pentacles upright. 10 of Cups in reverse. Four of Pentacles. And lastly, I think I'm going to stop there. The 7 of Pentacles in reverse. Four of Pentacles. That's funny. Started with the King of Cups and ending on his Queen, the Queen of Swords. Overall energy is the Devil in reverse. Major Arcana card number 15 equals 6. As it relates to general energy, there could be something that we're not like delving into. We're only looking at it at the surface. And so you may want to dig deeper. If you have some kind of situation going on and you've only been looking at it from a perspective of the superficial, you may want to go a little bit deeper. As it relates to like work and finance, it's about like not getting stuck at your job. If you, like, it's a reminder that like jobs that say, or that indicate that they're permanent, that like nothing is permanent, okay? Nothing is permanent. And especially in this day and age, the way that things shift so like readily, and you know, one day a company is supposedly thriving and the next day you're hearing, you know, they're filing for bankruptcy and 1 million people across the world are getting laid off because they all work for this huge corporation, like that sort of thing. Like, it's the reminder that nothing is really permanent. No job is really, you know, goes on forever. Nothing is really secure. And so if you're staying in a job because you feel like, well, I need this particular job because of the security, that, you know, you're really lying to yourself and you're making a choice albeit not necessarily completely conscious, you're making a choice to remain stuck if that's how you're feeling. Like, you don't have to. You can go somewhere else and be free. For love, same thing. Like, people that are currently coupled and doing well, there could be a storm brewing. One or both could be starting to feel stuck, sort of maybe, a little bit miserable. Doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to break up. You might just have some things to tend to. And in that case, again, go deeper. Don't just look at superficial stuff. Like, maybe really talk, really have a genuine, honest conversation about what each person needs and, may feel that they're lacking in that time. If you're single and you're looking for love, be aware of coming off overly clingy and desperate, like you're stuck too, and you're going to be stuck to somebody, like you're stuck on just getting love, because that's not going to be healthy either. And it comes off, it's unattractive. Even if people don't necessarily see that about you, they'll see, some sort of anxiety. We know how we read people's like aura, right? And you'd be like, something's not right with that one. It just gives off like bad pheromones. So watch yourself if you're looking for love, like the act of like desperation. All right, so this is going to be the spread from the perspective of the masculine. I was just guided to use my Rider-Waite Tarot, which I don't think I've used in a while, and in the mood to do some reversals. So here we go with that. The divine feminine, the masculine as it relates to the feminine, himself. I'll be careful not to let these spin around because I just said I'm reading reversals. And the union as a whole. Overall, what the masculine would have the feminine do toward the union, what he himself is willing to. Again, this reading is over. I mean, whenever you read it, whenever you watch it, I guess that's when it's meant for you. But I'm focusing on the period of the 18th through the 22nd. As it relates to, this energy that I'm getting from Father and the Prophet Muhammad. Their birthday energy. And the outcome. Divine feminine. Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So something new coming in. And maybe that's why, one of the reasons why I was made to use this. It's like a happy life is on the horizon. Maybe even marriage. This gives me like this gazebo type thing. Gives me like a feeling of marriage, and like here's the aisle and walking down the path and stuff. But there's a divine blessing on its way to you. And you're working on manifesting it right now. You may be aware of what it is because you're actively trying to pull it in, feminine. It just might not come when you want it. Like at this moment, it's a little bit delayed. Or if you receive it, you begin to see the tangible results of it. It won't be the big blessing that's coming, in the immediate. It may take a little time before you get to see the whole thing, before you get all of this. But there is something that is, blessed by the universe that is on its way to you. And may involve finances or the material, or it can be a relationship too. It can definitely be a relationship too. Maybe, like I said, even marriage and stuff with these flowers and this path and whatnot. Oh, reverse. The masculine as it relates to the feminine. Death in reverse. I'm personally a fan of death. I know people see it and they go, oh no, I didn't want that. But I'm a fan of death. And for me, when it's upright is when it's worse. I think that some people dislike the energy more when it's reversed. But for me, when it's upright, it's worse because that is like refusing to transform, refusing to go through the metamorphosis, like refusing to allow something to die, or to allow aspects of yourself that need to go to die. to make way for the new. And see here too, there's not a gazebo, but there's like another path and another horizon. It's back there in the distance, and you see it's all illuminated. So we have to go through this part, let this transpire so that we can reach that. It's very similar to this here. Like this, in fact, may even be this pentacle in the distance illuminated there. See the sphere shape? But it's also similar to what I was saying about this one, though. Like, I mean, not this one, the devil, that was our overall energy, that is our overall energy in reverse. Like the clinging to something. So basically, if there's some general changes in your life that are coming, and this is still the masculine in relation to the feminine, general changes in your coming, there'll be less impactful than if the card was upright. I'm going to use the word impactful because I don't want to say bad, because death isn't necessarily, the death card isn't necessarily bad. Less impactful on your life than if it was upright. Also similar to what I said about the devil, if it's connected to your work and your finance, it could be, you know, something where you're not happy, a job where you're not happy and you're just, you know, refusing to transform and to transition and to maybe quit or start looking for something else, moonlighting in the meantime while you start your own business, or as it relates specifically to the feminine, maybe in love, you could be holding on to some relationship or a separate relationship or aspects of your relationship with her that need to go. And again, it's like the other one, like you're clinging to something rather than be alone. You rather be unhappy or clinging to a situation rather than have it change. So even if it means like making up or whatever and moving on together, or if it means you're in, like I said, like you're in another situation and you got to leave that one, like you're kind of afraid to do that. But the time is going to come where even you who's been avoiding it is going to say like enough is enough and have to do something about the situation. A Scorpio may be involved. Also, the Scorpio may be involved, or this could just be like father's energy. He's sitting this saying, this is what's going to go down in connection to my birthday. People are going to start to get frustrated and have to, move on in a positive way and let go of old toxic energy. The masculine as it relates to himself. Page of Cups, also in reverse. You know what? God. I just remembered the King of Cups. The King of Cups has, I hope I can find it, because that's what I started with. But I didn't look at it or talk about it when I held it up to you guys. But I'm just picturing it in my head now, like the illustration of the card just popped in my head. There's a little boat that I think a lot of people probably never even notice. A little red boat in the card. It has 3 sails. And it's like a party of 3 sort of thing. And I think that that's what's going on here. The death card is even like, like X to this 3. Right? Because it's written in Roman numerals. Like, let's X that out and end that. But this Page of Cups, he was also in reverse. Which is interesting. He too, like the death card, maybe a Scorpio, could be a Pisces or Cancer. It is very Piscean to me, to be honest, with the little fish in the cup. Fish represent the sign of Pisces, and because the page is the more youthful, of the element. So Pisces, but it could be a Cancer or a Scorpio as well. And when he's upright, it's somebody that wants to, make some sort of offer. When he's upside down, there goes the offer. It's falling out of the cup there. But going along with I keep saying the other two, with the death card and the overall energy of the devil, along the same line, this is supposed to be in reverse, along the same lines, this can be the masculine admitting to himself like he's had his heart set on someone that like isn't really available. And that's not going to be for everybody, of course. That might be like with some sort of, you know, in the case of like a party of three or whatever. It's not going. The reason for this unhappiness that's showing up in the other cards is because there's something missing. I don't know if available is the right word. Not available. Not they're not. They're just not the right person. Contrarily, this could be the masculine's feelings also, in some cases, that he is not the right person, or at least right now, for the feminine. Because this is his feelings about himself in this placement. It could be him saying, I'm not fit, I'm not available, I'm not ready. In a more general sense, it could be about him like needing and wanting to have a little bit more fun, be a little bit more social. And as this one relates to work and finance, like you are, even if it doesn't necessarily feel like it, you are appreciated at your job. But you still got to like watch things. You still, you know, like don't get too arrogant about it. The union as a whole, from the masculine perspective, the world in reverse. Why is everything in reverse? I said I was in the mood to read reversals. They're like, okay, you want to read reversals? Here's some reversals. The world in reverse. All right, well, here's the world when it's upright. And the common feeling about the world in tarot is like, ooh, it's so wonderful. The world is your oyster. You know, the world is in your hands. The world is at your feet. I just got like pulled into this ox head and the angel head. I mean, the eagle head. This is so funny. This is like my natal chart. the air, the Leo rising, the Taurus MC. This is funny. Again, like the other cards we've seen thus far, with this in reverse, something is coming to completion or needs to come to completion, or in the area of love, which this is the one that represents, again, from the masculine perspective, the union as a whole. Area of love, if you've been involved, you may feel like something is stuck, stagnant, old, stale, but be pleasantly like surprised if you put some effort into it, like the new heights that you can reach, and how much, you know, more wonderful and stronger this union can become. If you're single, it's a good time to mingle, as they say. Get out there, look. If you have somebody in mind, it's a good time to reach out. Overall, the King of Wands, maybe this is the Aries energy coming through, perhaps. The King of Wands is somebody who goes after what he wants. He's upright. He is a Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries, maybe a Scorpio. They're ruled by the same rulers, Mars and Pluto. He's passionate. He is strong. He is wise. He goes after what he wants in that way. He's also a representation of the divine masculine in the tarot. He's one half of the Two of Wands, you know, of the representation of divine unions. What the masculine would have the feminine do toward the union. It's the sun in reverse. So the sun in the reverse is still the sun. It's one of those kind of cards. And similar to what I said about the Ace of Pentacles, like you may get this blessing that, you know, for which you've been waiting and maybe even praying and trying to manifest, making intentions toward. But it might, when it arrives, it might not be as grand as it otherwise would have been if this was upright. And it's the same thing. So that could come again with letting go of old aspects. Stop trying to fit yourself or your partner or the union into a box. And it's supposed to be like this and supposed to be like that. And let go of things that don't matter and are not conducive to you two moving forward. Let go of expectations. I'm supposed to behave like this and you're supposed to behave like that. And just work on bettering your connection and your communication, and a blessing will come in. Again, maybe not as large as it otherwise would have been, but that's still on the horizon too. The larger blessing is still coming also. So that's what you got to do, feminine. This is the death and the rebirth together. Neither is going to be as impactful as it otherwise would have been if it was up front. So the death is not going to be as bad, right? As difficult to deal with, but the sun is not going to be as grand. What the masculine himself is willing to do, he's here exercising some patience. He knows, like, I've begun to put some things in order, and to sow some seeds and make some plans so that things can turn out the way I hope that they will, that I'm trying to manifest. And now I'm, waiting for that to happen naturally and organically. I'm not trying to force it. That's going to be my contribution, which would explain why he wants the feminine to do the same and sort of let go of old stuff. What the universe would have the two do is fully support them in, but they have to first affirm, that they are committed to this. The 10 of Cups. Happy family card. Right? So it will help them to fix this. And it's sitting here atop the world where I said, yeah, it may be funky right now, your union, your relationship, but if you put some effort into it, right, actually do the work toward it, you could be pleasantly surprised at what the outcome could be. And then look what the universe said in response to that. And the outcome. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Could mean many things. I'm going to take it in this instance to be when he's upright, he is this slow moving knight that always reaches his goal. He's on his way here. He is a Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn. And I'm going to take him right now as being in reverse, as not being something negative, but being, a little bit more like he's arrived. Like he's arrived, rather than he's doing this slow and steady thing on my way there. Like he's arrived and he's ready to put in the work now and to make this happen. And this. From the perspective of the universe, I'm beginning with true love and opening to blonde female. There are no reversals in this deck. This one would be sort of like that King of Wands counterpart, because this is the representation of the divine feminine in this deck for me. And she's a redhead, so she's kind of Queen of Wands-ish, or at least knight, right? She doesn't necessarily look old enough to be the queen, but at least the Knight of Wands, maybe. Blonde female who's really a redhead. And mature woman. So I guess they're saying, oh, it can be an older woman too. She's got the red lip and everything. Blonde female. And obstacles. Like I said, there's no reversals in this deck, but I did like seeing the obstacle upside down, as if it was maybe had been overcome. And communication. I don't like seeing communication in reverse. Communication. Cuts. Also during this time, speaking of communication, Mercury will be retrograde. Because Mercury remains retrograde until December 6th, I think it is. So over the November 18th through the 22nd, it will definitely be in retrograde. So keep that in mind too. I've come to the energy of past life, which looks like what we'll be dealing with at this time. Overall energy is spiritual growth. Divine being or couple. Recent past. I want to make sure the single people realize they're included. I'm keeping them in mind. Masculine's higher self. Near future. Blocks. The feminine can do for herself to further better her situation. The masculine. What the two can do, but they will first have to affirm, to do it, and the universe will support them fully in that area and the outcome. Divine couple. Past love. Interesting. This can certainly represent the love between the two of them, but also I was picking up things that they may be dealing with, like a past love period, and that may be connected to the retrograde. That might be why I was guided in that moment or reminded in that moment just now as I was dealing these about Mercury's retrograde being simultaneous to this. Recent past. Past life. Okay. Past love sitting here next to past life. Representative of karmic issues, things coming up from your past, connected perhaps again to the retrogrades through which we've been going. Masculine's higher self. Open relationship. Thinking about how can I get this to work for myself. Not necessarily an open relationship as is traditionally considered, in Western culture, but how can he be out in the open in the way that he wants to live and or love. And it looked like that's what was coming through in the spread from his perspective with all those upside down cards that were kind of saying the same things to me. Feeling of being stuck. Like we got to switch this up. We got to do something different in order for it to be good from his perspective. Near future. Dating queen. 3 potential suitors. Like party of 3. So that just makes me feel, again, more so that past love and past life having shown up here could be representative of having to deal with issues from the past in general, not necessarily having to do specifically with one's partner, but it could be, exes and stuff also resurfacing as they tend to do during retrograde. And if I can be honest, thinking again about the King of Wands and the King of Cups. All right, we started with the King of Cups. I told you there's a little, that came to me during the reading, but there's a little tiny boat with 3 red sails on the King of Cups in the Rider-Waite. And so that's speaking to me about this, right? This is like very 3 of Wands. 3 of Wands isn't bad, as it relates to relationships or love. I mean, it usually means that everything is going well, but I keep saying but, right? Sometimes it's like you don't feel like an equal in your relationship when the 3 of Wands shows up. Also, and if that's the case, then those might be relationships you may want to, work on or end, and they're not necessarily together. They're not necessarily the masculine and the feminine that I'm talking about. Those could be the third party situations. You're in these relationships that you don't feel equal. Something feels off. You don't feel matched properly. Also, even if single, when this shows up as also with the King of Wands, he wants to be like the protector and the provider and the everything. But in reality, the King of Wands can be somebody who's putting more time into their work and not really necessarily putting a fair amount of time into relationship. And work can mean anything in this case. It doesn't have to mean like necessarily your job. It could mean something else, like you're putting your effort into your your growth, your changes you're making in your life, and you're not really focusing on love, maybe because you're disinterested. Again, these other relationships and stuff. So that's coming through. But again, with going back to the King of Cups, I think we saw this coming, but the fact that he was upright, and that when the King of Cups is upright, he is one of the most loving cards in the deck that you can pull. I think that where he wants to be is where the love is. Whether the feminine is represented by the King of Cups or the masculine, like whomever is represented by it, the King of Cups wants to be where the love is in this situation. And definitely in some of these, there is a need to close something. And I was saying, I had started to say, like, if I can be honest, some people that met and or reconnected during Venus retrograde, or that do the beginning of Mercury retrograde, which is the 16th, the same day that Venus goes direct, which precedes the 19th through the 22nd, the period for which this reading is, you guys may fall apart. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get back together again, but because there's something unsettled, and there is something like some sort of, again, of three, whether the third energy is one's life, work, or another partner, there's something to tend to. So there may be some kind of falling out or something, if that makes sense. But I still want to also be positive about it, because other than that, like if everyone does feel equal, then when the Three of Wands shows up, again, your relationship is going well and should continue to go well. And that, coupled with the King of Wands upright and the King of Cups upright, is a good sign. And with the little boat even too, because, it could be like more of that feeling of something is on the horizon, and like he's waiting for his ships to come in, similar to the King of Pentacles, waiting for his ship to come in. That little boat is the ship. Yeah. All right. Blocks. I forgot what this placement was for a second. Blocks. Okay. See? Courting man. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be a block. It could be awesome, actually, because it means that there's not an outside force that's involved. Basically, you're in control. So if it's a block because this courting man is a dating queen, and he's got other suitors, and that's what's the block to the two of you focusing on each other and coming together, then he's in control of that. He can cease to be that by choice. If you are the one who is dating, let's say this is the feminine, and you're interested in that, you can cease to do that and focus on one. If there's no dating at all happening, and the fact that you need to be a courting man when you're not being one, like you're, sitting it out. We haven't seen that card. We may, but like you're sitting it out rather than dancing, that you have a choice. That's a free will choice where, okay, I'm going to engage, and I'm going to not be an obstacle to myself. I'm going to not stand in my own way and not, block myself from love, not block my blessings. So, this is workable. This is probably one of the best challenges or obstacles that we could have gotten. So what can the feminine do to help herself in this situation, regardless of whatever else is going on? Ooh. Okay. Well, this is what I was just talking about, what I was feeling. There's potential delay to coming together, which we saw earlier, again, with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, with the Sun in reverse. something else was in reverse that was alluding to, you know, there may be some delay. So this could be delay, or it could be short-term heartbreak. Like I was saying, there could be some sort of disagreement, argument, falling out, falling away temporarily. Temporarily. So if that happens, what you can do for yourself, I guess this is saying, is not, you know, panic. Not panic. I don't want you to focus on it either and manifest it in your life where it doesn't need to be, you know. But if this energy does come your way, you know how to handle it. You know how to deal with it. And that's sort of like the idea of predictive readings anyway, right? Prophetic readings is so we can see what is going to happen and how can I navigate the energy. What the masculine can do. Lord. Okay. This is the card I was talking about. Oh my goodness. All right. So when I pull this card, generally in my readings, as it relates to the signs, this card has an energy of a Scorpio or a Capricorn or a Gemini. Why those? Because those, for me, are the signs that would do this. That would be the type of person that whomever is throwing this party, hosting this party, they want you there. They want you there. You are that kind of person, right? You're everybody's friend, except when you're there, you're also like no one's friend. You're also like no one's friend. And you would be the type to be sitting like this. Like nobody would be like this but a Gemini, Scorpio, Capricorn at a party. But it has come to represent for me free will and choice, like I was talking about with the courting man. It is one's choice, and in this case, the masculines, to decide whether or not to engage. Opportunity comes your way. Are you going to stand in your own way by sitting it out? Or are you going to choose to dance? That's all on him. And, you know, it can be because, again, he's seeing other people. He's got a situation he's got to work through first. Or whatever the reason behind it is, it's still his choice at the end of the day, whether to miss the opportunity to sit it out or to dance. What would the universe have the two do that it's willing to fully support them in if they first affirm to it? Oh, that's interesting. Well, first of all, it's more this fire and red energy. So it's about pursuing passions. But at the same time, the card is called Beauty Queen. So for me, that's Venus, right? Venus is the goddess and planet of beauty and attraction and abundance and love and popularity and confidence, like all things that would make you do this. So this card in this placement is saying to me that the universe wants us to take advantage of Venus, which who will have gone direct at that point, and her placement in Libra, which is her most loving, right? So full of this, and definitely go after your passion and pursue your passion. So if you're in a relationship, again, just to quickly recap based on what we've seen here, there's a lot of red, there's a lot of fire, there's a lot of, you know, being urged to go after your passions sitting here. If you're in a relationship or a job, something is taking your attention, but that something is not something that makes you happy. That something is just something that is a matter of convenience, and you may even feel inconvenienced by it, in fact, to the extent that you feel stuck. Then leave that alone. This is the time when we're being guided to let that die. This is a reading for the Scorpion King, right? That's the energy of death. Let that die and let something new and beautiful be born in its place. Like a caterpillar going into a cocoon and emerging a completely different yet also beautiful creature. A whole new one. So to leave a relationship doesn't mean that at one point it wasn't good and it didn't fulfill a need and it didn't satisfy and it didn't make you happy. And you don't have to feel guilty about letting it go when it doesn't anymore. It's just, it's died. So you bury it and then allow for the new one. All right. And then the outcome, Wow. Boom. Boom. Union. You just got to be a little bit patient. Just got to be a little bit patient because, again, there's some stuff to work through here, obviously. Wow. I don't know what I took these cards out for, but I guess I'll do one more quick little spread since I did. I really didn't know what I was doing or how I was going to do this reading, period. Where I was going to start, what I was going to talk about, but hopefully I accomplished what I intended. And also, you know, provided a service to you guys, to those who are watching. From this deck, we're beginning with the Universal Heart, which is an illustration of, I guess, this person's interpretation of what Jesus looks like. But the author's intent in this card is for us to like stare into the card, and then as you do, the face sort of disappears, and there's only like little what appear to be stars that are left. And the point of it is to remind us that it's basically a message of oneness. Like the universe is us and we are the universe, and like, you know, made in his image, made in the image of the universe, and like, you know, it's all available to us infinitely because we're like part of it. And opening to Guardian, which goes along the same lines. It's like, you're not alone. We are connected to the divine. Universal Heart and Trilogy of Light. Again, a lot of fire already too, and a lot of this spiritual energy. We started out with, you know, Jesus, and then Guardian, as in like guardian angel, and now this Trilogy of Light, which is very Trinity-like. It's a lot of spiritual energy, and energy of 3, which is about the Creator or God. Trilogy of Light. And dreams. Could be connected to water signs, maybe Scorpio in this case, but otherwise for me, more so dreams would be connected to Pisces, Neptune, which is also retrograde right now in Pisces. Also Mars, Scorpio's ruler, is currently located in Pisces. So that's another reason for that to show up perhaps. Trilogy and spiritual growth. We got some fire and air here. And spiritual growth fits in nicely where I was just saying we're just seeing all those different spiritual cards, and you know, they culminate in this basically. So you know what, on that note, I'll just cut. Wow. Back to the Universal Heart. How awesome is that? Overall energy is forgiveness. And that can be, you know, like what comes up. That can be, you know, what's tied to, like what I was feeling like the disagreement. Because temporary or short-term conflict, you know, that could be minutes. It could be we get into some sort of, okay. Feminine has 2. You know, conversation, confrontation, and we gotta face some stuff, and maybe it ends in some tears and some honesty and some forgiveness and some seeking forgiveness and releasing guilt and letting go of resentment and regret from the past and all that kind of stuff. And it all dies, or it all gets washed away with the water of Scorpio, because Scorpio's ending at this time too. That was another reason why or how I came to the dates of what period it should cover. Some Muslims believe that during this month, the 7th day of the month is the day on which the Prophet Muhammad's birthday should be celebrated. And then some believe that it is the 12th day of the month. So I also wanted to like encompass all of those. And so I figured the last day of Scorpio / first day of Sagittarius was also appropriate. All right, crowning the masculine, golden path. It means everything's going as it should. You are on the right track. For me, very much a healing energy. the healing energy specifically of the emerald ray, because I connected to the Wizard of Oz, was when I see all these colors. It's like the rainbow, you know, somewhere over the rainbow, as in on the horizon, all the good stuff that we saw coming before us. And remember, like that bright yellow sphere that represented the pentacle on the first card, and then on the death card in the corner there was another one like this, you know. So it's still like there's this blessing that's on the horizon, and we're on the right track. We're headed toward it. In the Wizard of Oz, when they get to or the reason why they're going down the yellow brick road, the whole purpose is to reach the Emerald City. And so for me, you know, we're going down the golden path to reach the Emerald Ray, the ray of healing and support. And so you're on track for that, masculine, and you should be proud of yourself. Okay, you're surrounded by the energy of the mystic. So extremely intuitive right now, which is very Scorpio-like. They're very naturally psychic. That's actually why I thought from where I thought my psychic awareness or ness came from. Not because I'm a Scorpio, but because my mother is, and she was. I just thought it was just like normal in my family, you know, to be psychic and to talk about dreams. And I'd ask my mother questions sometimes, and she'd go, "Wait, like don't say that before 12 o'clock, and don't do," you know. And that was how I lived. That was how I grew up. It was very like my regular life. So I didn't know any different. I didn't know anything else. And I just thought I got that. It was something I inherited from my mother, who was a Scorpio. So I'm used to that very natural psychic ability that they have. My daughter was born with it too. She's also a Scorpio. So you're going to be like that. Whether you're a Scorpio or not yourself, you're going to be very particularly intuitive during this period, masculine. And also not only Scorpio, but very Gemini-like myself, like the High Priestess. Pay close attention to it. This can also be about communication, and maybe specifically telepathy, connected to the energy of Uranus and the sign of Aquarius, the water bearer. They walk the line between like water sign and an air sign, really. I mean, it's an air sign, but if you look at the constellations, they're like right up on Pisces also. In any case, pay attention to it. Follow the guidance that you receive. You know, stop like fighting yourself. Stop like fighting your soul, because that's apparently what a bunch of you are doing if you're walking around in relationships and circumstances that, you know, are within your control to change or to end, and you're just staying in them, claiming to be stuck. You know, so use the guidance that you're being given, the gut feelings and all that kind of stuff, and follow it, and pursue your passions. Right? Follow your heart. Look what is in your subconscious. Can you believe this popped up yet again? So, yeah, you have all this power. Is why this keeps showing up. You have all this power. This, what it represents, not necessarily the face. This, what it represents, is the image in which you're made. You know, very a God among men, and the universe trying to tell you that it's time to start acting like it, and like taking your rightful place. Feminine, we got 2 cards. And they are Guardian and Abundance. We too are guided very much to not as exactly like the High Priestess, but similarly to follow the guidance that we are being given. And that is going to help us to unblock our blessings. And we need to, in part, do that by spending some time with Mother Nature. Take your guardian with you. Like, you're not alone when you go out on these walks and, you know, to the park and spending time outside. You're not, even though you might look to other people like you're by yourself, you're still not alone there. You have your support, but you need to connect. You need to connect and spend some otherwise alone time nurturing you in order to get that flow of abundance moving. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but I see like a lot of similarities in these 2 cards here too. Right, with the like illuminated sphere. Here's ours here. For them, it's a path. For us, it's this tree. But it's still being connected to the universe. And there's all this greenery on the sides and all this greenery on the sides. So again, we're on the, we're both on the same track. They just don't have enough cards that are alike to, demonstrate that otherwise. So you got to pick up on it. Feminine is surrounded by, fear. Fear. And I guess that's why I made it a point to say, like, don't manifest. I don't want you guys focusing on what I said, that something could go wrong, and then manifesting something going wrong. So definitely don't neglect, don't fail to do this part, because I think that'll help you through this. That'll help you keep your vibration up so you don't slip into this. Keep your, thoughts positive. And feminine subconscious. If we make it to that, then here is the rebirth and the fresh start. And I love this opposite what they got too. Again, I think it's a lot of, they're matching the cards up to the best that they're able here. Crowning, message from afar. So here's that very Mars-like energy, very fiery, where this is reflective of the guidance that we're getting from the universe, getting from God, the creator, whatever you want to call it. That source, that oneness from each other, even from each other's vibrations. When we get together and fellowship, if everybody's of a, keeps their vibe up, energy is shared between us. That is positive, that propels us. This can also be connected to telepathy and especially crossing the masculine's mystic, messages that you're going to be receiving, intuitively. At the roots and through dreams as well. Here come the dreams. Neptune, Pisces, helping out here because, again, that's where Mars is currently located. Mars is in Pisces. That gives way to this. And at the heart of the matter, reflection. This is you going within, looking around, looking ahead, forward. What are your dreams? What are your goals? What do you have to do to achieve them? And I hope we just demonstrated what that is. Basically, following your heart, following your intuition, letting go of fear, letting go of any sort of negative emotions or cords of attachments that go along with fear, and letting it all die, and so that this can happen, rebirth. On that note, I'm going to give us each a card from King Osiris and from my Isis oracle, beginning with healing the divine masculine. Osiris rises. I love that he chose to be the top card today to begin with. And opening to Temple of Black Obsidian, the dark healing chamber. I've actually had black obsidian, raw and polished, under my pillow since the Scorpio new moon. So some of you might want to look into that. Opening to Divine Sisterhood, community of the spiritual sisters and brothers of light. So this is that oneness that I was talking about, coming together. Look at them sharing their energy. Healing the divine masculine. Oop. All right. Spirit of Isis jumping out. Triumph of the goddess. Also soul retrieval. Deep soul healing with the goddess. Power over 7 scorpions. The power to conjure lower vibrational forces. All right, just jumping card day. It's the Queen of Heaven. Blessings from the Divine Empress of the Skies. And also magic and ritual. Crafting sacred practice. And I've come to the dark mysteries. Enter the chamber of the dark goddess. And the overall energy here is portal of light. She glides on wings through space and time. But I've decided to put these to the side for a second and get us some advice from the other decks. I wasn't going to, and just now I was moved to do it. So here we go. Okay, so from the hashtag creepy deck to the masculine young female. So masculine, you have this energy of Jupiter and Sagittarius coming your way. This is when things are going to turn around for you. If they have gotten funky, if they do get funky during this period, beginning the 23rd, you should have better luck in this area, a la Sagittarius and Jupiter. Actually, I'm getting you could have it during this period too. If things have, if you've already been experiencing sort of, then this will give you the boost now, because Jupiter and the fixed signs, of which Scorpio is one, are also connected to, the fixed signs are connected to Jupiter and this in the energy of here. So that's Scorpio, Aquarius, which we just talked about and saw, the water bearer. Also Taurus, I touched on, and Leo, some more fire. For the feminine, fun times. So what can we do, like when we're alone, bored? You know, this is still us being social and living life as, you know, best and fully as we can. Like regardless of what's going on with the masculine, like whether we're, you know, working things out or not at any given moment. Masculine trilogy of light. So more guidance for you to move closer toward this oneness. You, the divine feminine, and the divine coming together. And feminine for us, maybe to help us with this, getting this flow going, or to help us to let go of this fear, or to help us to want to, you know, spend more time as productive parts of society. Healing sounds. There are tones, sounds, motivational speeches, songs, of course, that we can listen to that will help us with all of these things here, and anything that you could possibly want help with. Actually, there's like a binaural tone for everything. I used to listen to some for studying, like listen to gamma rays to get a higher test score and all kind of stuff. Like, you know, you'd be surprised. Whatever you need. So definitely to let go of fear, you can find something. Our advice for the masculine from the Isis Oracle. Ancient power mysteries. Hear the rattle of Isis playing. I will read that to you, but it sounds like rebirth, right? The rattle, like a baby's rattle. And feminine, magic and ritual. Crafting sacred practice. And this sounds very magician-like for us, and about our ability to manifest what we want into our lives, what we feel we need also. But we have also being reminded that we can manifest things we don't want to. And so we have to do it with intent and use our powers for good. But I'll read that too. They're very long, so I won't read the whole things, but to masculine, here's your message. The rattle of Isis, the sistrum, is playing in the hand of the goddess now. Can you sense it with your inner hearing? All right. She's guiding you to pay close attention to your intuition, masculine. Its vibration reaches through your crown chakra and enters your body, initiating you into great ancient power mysteries of sound, creativity, and healing. This is a time when words and music will become increasingly important on your spiritual path and healing journey. Pay attention. Feminine, for us, magic and ritual. Crafting sacred practice. Effect in the external world can be created through inner practice. Magic and ritual can support your divine path now in the physical world and you are encouraged to enhance your power with regular practice. The results that you experience will encourage you to continue with this practice as you grow in power, grace, love, ability, and wisdom, and apply your inner beauty to transform your outer world. So this is about the feminine manifesting in a very intent and, conscious manner, pulling in only what she wants and rejecting what she doesn't, and controlling her destiny and allowing that destiny, that perception to become her reality. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this reading, and thank you for celebrating Father with me. Namaste.